Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Modern Farming Podcast, where we bring you insights directly from the field about food, agriculture, and the incredible environment we live in. And today we have Sarah from the Florida Farm School, who is experiencing this wonderful environment. We've been begging for rain for months in just about every part of Florida. And I don't know, Sarah, if you're getting any rain, but it certainly looked like there was a small tornado out back there when we were outside with you.
You know, they say the best way to get what you're asking for is to set something up that doesn't need rain. So I set the computer up outside. I was going to guys all the glory of the animals and the land, and Mother Nature opened the skies. So we are getting the rain, we are getting the storms, and she set my animals free for the last 30 minutes. So we're good.
Well, thanks for wrangling everybody and getting on with us. We really do appreciate it. So, Sarah, tell us a little bit about the Florida Farm School. What is it all about? Share with our listeners the really great fun things that you're doing there.
So Florida Farm School it's my little dream that I didn't know I had. I grew up in Pinellas County on Clearwater Beach. I had no idea you could go to school with cows because we don't have ag programs out there. Even though I was born in Texas, I'm pretty much a Floridian. So the country heart is still there, but I was a salty kid. Um, I bought the land to invest and to develop, believe it or not, because I was a real estate investor. And my next level up was to build our own housing. So we had bought the land to build on it. And simultaneously, I got involved with a farm located in Trinity, Florida during COVID. All of our kids were on lockdown. Anybody who has kids was looking for a jacket that hugged you or somewhere to take them. And we had found a farm to take our kids. And through a series of events, I got involved with this farm. I started riding horses and I found the power of nature. It wasn't the horses. Everybody says, oh, it must have been the horses and the cows. It really wasn't. It was the power of nature, being able to go out into a trail and ride free and clear and notice the trees and notice the wildlife, something that sadly we don't get to see anymore. It really touched me. And then as an entrepreneur, I had too much time on my hands. I had money in the pocket and I have no babysitter because I'm single. So I was like, yeehaw, let's open up an indoor petting store so our kids have somewhere to go. And the county approved it. I could not believe that Pasco County was going to let me put horses and donkeys and ponies and cows inside a commercial building. And they said yes. So I started pulling all those triggers. I rented the building on US 19. I pulled permits. I hired my GC. I started painting myself and I bought a ton of animals. But through the course of this, project construction, the farm that I was with, I realized maybe not be on the up to up. We had animals that were sick all the time. We had FWC walking in the door, ag walking in the door. And simultaneously, I had bought the land to develop. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to move the animals. And so I did that. But the farm that we bought here in Dade City was over an hour away from my home. Now, mind you, I was still in construction. I still had no babysitter. I still had too much time on my hands. So I would drop my son off at school in, Pasco County, an hour away, and I would drive out to the farm to take care of the animals every day. We didn't have a ton of animals, so I found myself really just enjoying the land. I would lay out in a pasture versus lay out in the sand, and I was like, man, I could hear the wind blow, and I could hear the birds sing, and I could feel the stillness that Mother Nature provides us. And when I tell you, it was the most impactful, life-changing thing. It fueled my fire to share it. How many of us work day to day and sacrifice every bit of freedom to pay our bills or to take care of our children? Whether you're a single parent or you're a parent with the other spouse in the household, there are sacrifices every day just for us to survive and pay our bills anymore. And I felt that if I could open the doors and build this facility to offer that, then I could honestly maybe try to change somebody's life. And even if the smallest of ways, whether it was healing or reconnecting them to nature or showing them of what's available out there, kind of like I didn't know. I didn't know we could go to school with cows. I didn't know how to take care of my land. I didn't know, honest to God, I didn't know how to mow my grass at the time because I had other people to do it, let alone how to grow grass. And so then I started having to figure out how was I going to take care of this land and pay for it since it was an investment. Now I've lost that investment money. And so I started dabbing in what everybody does with animals, petting zoos. And we ended up at a petting zoo for Christmas in Wesley Chapel. And I crossed a mom who begged me to open a homeschool program. Her daughter was very nonverbal. She spoke, but she didn't speak to any strangers, any other humans. She didn't have other children interaction. She was very sheltered in a sense, but by own choice, except for when the animals came around. She begged me to open a homeschool program. And so I did it. Mind you, I said when I got this farm, I was not going to work with children. You couldn't pay me to do it. I was not going to work with children. And that's all I do now because I've seen the impact. So I opened the program, and that same little girl runs our chicken program. She's now had sleepovers. She's seen Santa for the first time at 8 or 9 years old. She speaks to every child on the property. She speaks to adults in public on their own. And it really kind of smacked me in the face of how impactful these environments really can be, not just for our children, but for our adults and our humanity as it is. We had another altercation or experience, I should say, where we went into a outdoor setting, and it was for a mental health awareness program that Pasco County Parks and Wildlife was putting on. And I got an email, and I get emotional every time I talk about this story because I got an email that day from a woman who was there, and her daughter had never said mom or I love you. And after her daughter sat with our pony that we dressed up as a unicorn for almost 3 hours that day, she turned around and she hugged her mom and she said, I love you. And so, as much as I didn't want to work with children and I didn't believe in myself, and honestly, I didn't have faith in working with children and the humans that we live with today. And I know that sounds terrible, but our world has become somewhat of an ugly place. And it's really hard to work with a bunch of children who may or may not be well behaved or may have these struggles or may not have, the parents at home that we all expect to have. But I've learned that through this environment, it's different. Not only is it healing, it brings the kids out. It gives them the ability to overcome fears, to build self-confidence. It gives our parents a place that they can breathe and they can turn off the mind and the rat race. And it's just grown from there. It's been pure mission of passion. Everything we do here is for the exposure of agricultural sustainability and simple living. I love to say that we're sustainable, but the reality is I still don't know how to take care of my grass. I still don't have a garden yet. I still don't know how to do a lot of things, but we learn together. And I think that's one of the most impactful things of this facility for me is the unison. Growing up in busy cities like Clearwater Beach and Tampa and being in high stressful businesses, the one thing that I've always struggled with is the division of our humans. Whether you're on call or you're on a different job career or you just come from different ethnicity backgrounds, the division is huge and it's disgusting, but it's not here in the agricultural community. They don't care if you're new, if you're old, if you're young, if you're dumb, if you don't know what you're doing. They're all here to teach, to learn, and to grow together, and they support you. And the benefit of the union and the Mother Nature and the land and the animals and the free spirits is invaluable. It's truly priceless and invaluable. And then to think that you can have clean food, you can grow your own vegetables, and you can sustain yourself off of what your land provides and the freedom and fun and passion that you can find. Why wouldn't you want to share it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know why we continue. I don't know why I work for a living, to be honest.
You got something to
After
edit
everything
now.
you just said, I mean, why wouldn't you just go do it? So, thank you for that. There was so much in there, and I was trying to take notes as we started here. But when did you start the facility? When did you open up?
I think we bought it at the end of 2020. I want to say it was 2020 or 2021. We bought it in December, and I brought the first animal the following May. This is our fourth year doing this.
What was your first animal?
What's your head count? I mean, you got 3 cows.
That's like asking a woman how old she is. You know better than that.
Just give me a rough idea.
Okay, so we did just thin the herd out quite a bit, but I would say there's probably 10 or 12 cattle, maybe 15 to 18. I've got 2 horses, 2 mini ponies, 2 mules. We're down to 3 goats, 3 sheep, and then 5 or 6 pigs.
Wow.
We don't count the chickens, and we don't count the ducks, and we don't count the chicks either, young man.
So when you're working with kids and you're explaining, I grew up on a farm, so I kind of take it for granted that a lot of kids don't realize where meat comes from and eggs come from. I'm learning more and more that there's a lot more kids that don't than do, seems like. So how do some of those kids take it when they find out where their steaks come from and their pork comes from?
You know what's more intriguing and what's more surprising is you are correct. A lot of them don't know and don't understand. Number one, they're resilient and they're accepting to answer that question. We immediately see that, oh my God, I couldn't dare eat moose, because they have the relation of an emotion. But when you go in to explain to them okay, you can eat moose and you can know that moose is clean and he's healthy and he's going to support your family for the next year, or you can go and eat the Cracker Jack box out of the store that may be full of chemicals and cancers and poisons. The kids are really receptive, to be honest, and they're more curious about how do they learn to love and let go versus saying no. But what's more surprising to me is the absolute phenomenon of a look on all children and adult faces when you tell them that no, not only bulls have horns. And also, by the way, you should be more scared of that cow than you should the bull.
Oh, yeah. Especially if she's got a calf.
Yeah.
Especially if she's got a calf. I will say, if you grew up on a farm, you know that death is a part of it. Love and loss is absolutely, you have to learn to accept it. It's probably been one of the hardest overcomes for myself at 40. To watch the beauty of these children learn how to deal with their emotions in a healthy fashion, as well as in a group setting, when we lose an animal or when I say, okay, guys, Timmy's getting ready to go to the processor. Please say your goodbyes and we'll have Do they shed tears? They do. But they all come in looking for that package of meat next week because they want to see and they want to taste and they want to know what they helped raise. And some of them struggle with it. They do. The parents struggle more than the kids, believe it or not.
I was going to say, my wife.
I still struggle with it.
Yeah, my wife spends a lot of time with my daughter at FFA, and she gets more attached to the chapter steers and everything else than anyone else. But so let me ask you, Sarah, when you opened up, like how did you attract these kids in? Is it something you got tied in with the schools, or did you do some advertisement? How did you start to bring people into the facility?
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it was word of mouth. I think it's the moms groups. We work with the homeschool children predominantly, not for nothing other than the hours of availability of which we can offer to open up our doors. I truly believe it was word of mouth. We have people that travel up to 2 hours to come to our program.
Hmm.
And there is no structure. I'm going to be honest. I tried to structure it for the last year. And I will say the last 2 months, I have had a lot of conversations with our farm families that they don't want it. It's taken my passion away trying to structurize it and have program activities and this, that, and the other like these programs do. My kids and our families want feral, free farm fun. That's it. We want to raise free range chicks as much as we raise free range kids.
Right.
And so I think we've been so blessed by word of mouth. We really have. I don't do enough advertising. I don't have the donations. We don't have the fundraisers. We don't have anything that we should have and need because I don't know how to do it. But what I do know how to do is open the door and be real. I don't hide anything from the kids. Whatever is going on the farm is what the kids are exposed to. I can't tell you how many of the parents have said thank you because their kids either sleep or they've learned to deal with their emotions or they got off their video game for the night or they look forward to come back to the farm or, hey, they handled, our pet's death better because of what we've taught them here.
Yeah. Yeah. Endless life lessons there, I'm sure. So how do the programs work? I mean, you keep mentioning programs. Is it something that they come for a day, a half a day, a few hours, or do they spend multiple days in a row there? How do you manage your programs?
So it's a day-to-day program. What we offer is Florida Farm School. So on a Monday is our Florida Farm School program. That's the class that I teach. It's from 9 to 1 p.m. We do chores together. The kids are expected to do chores. I feel that, I've had a parent say, oh, we're paying you to make our kids work for you. No, you're paying me to teach your kids work skills. You're paying me to teach them teamwork, group activities, responsibilities, fear building, all the above. From that, whatever we do that day, if we make milk from ice cream from milk, if we garden, we have done cow hooves on the table with our cow hoof man. We've done preg checks together. We have live births. Not that I can schedule those, but our animals seem to know when our kids are coming because they schedule them fantastically. And to answer your question or to touch on your question earlier, I had a really cool experience. Being a beach girl and being a mom, I still try to shield the children from some things, right? And I don't think I try to shield the children more than I try to step on boundaries with the parents, not knowing how parents would receive what we're teaching. So our first live birth here happened to be a Berkshire pig. She's about 500 pounds. She had that birth with the kids here. We took video. We ended up having 2 stillbirths. Well, 3 total, one of which we revived and 2 of which we could not revive. I not only hid the carcass from the kid, I hid the mouth to mouth from the kids because I didn't want to overexpose them in a sensory fashion that was too much. When I mentioned, the kids had so many questions. What's wrong? What happened? How do you know? And so when I mentioned a blue baby, because these were all pink pigs, and I said, well, the baby's blue, so I know that the oxygen gone. We can't revive it. We tried. The kids asked to see that blue baby. They asked to see the difference of the blue baby to the live baby on their own will. And that's how we educated them. So that's the farm school program. We also run a toddler time on Thursdays from 10:30 to 12, and we'll switch the day here and there. But that's for kids who are 0 to 5 because they don't get exposure to this. These kids go up to animals at a park and put their hands in their face. And I don't mean livestock. I'm talking a dog, a cat, and anything. Because they're not taught how to respect animals and how to share space. So now we run the toddler program because we want these children and families to feel comfortable sharing space while being respectful to their homes and their environments as well. We do a Common Core program that's going to start in September. So Common Core for homeschoolers, we just want to give parents a little bit of support. As a mom, there's no way I could have taught my kids. Not happening, no way, no how. But if by chance I could have done it, I'm sure there would have been 5 subjects that I could have taught and 2 that me and my boys would bat heads over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we offer the Common Core program. We just want to be a support to the parents. Those kids will come in here and they'll do those 2 really tough subjects that they fight you tooth and nails on in 15 minutes with us. And we'll do those subjects in the pasture with the cows. You said you were born and raised on a farm, right?
Yeah.
There's no gates between my animals and these kids. There's no fences between my animals and these families. There's a gate at the end of the driveway that stays shut 24/7. There's a Brahma bull that we lay on until we steered him last year. There's no classroom walls to get these kids to want to learn. So we're going to have a ninja
at their own time, at their own pace. They can stand back and watch for an hour and then maybe sneak a touch and do it at their own pace. That's really
correct.
cool.
And they can also, it's not us teaching them. You know who their biggest educators are while they're here? Their peers.
Yeah.
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 So great.
Their peers. So they build the confidence, they build the respect, they build the education side of it. I have 9-year-olds that can tell you how to pull a calf because they've listened to me talk about it as I prepped to pull one last weekend. And they'll tell you what you need to watch for and why you need to watch for it. I'm 40 years old. They know more than me already.
It's such an interesting. So, okay, let me back up here. So, okay, the programs are day to day. They go from 9 to 1. So, have you now had these kids year after year? Is it a program that they continue to enroll in every year, or is it semesters or quarters or something like that?
It is 100. It's 52 weeks a year, except for the few weeks that we take off. So with Farm School Mondays, that's been going for 3 years. Those families have been here for 3 years. And then we did branch off into a survival class. Unfortunately, we need a new teacher. So the survival class was something that I wanted to bring to the community again because of what I feel like I fell short on. I don't know how to start a fire if things blow up tomorrow. I don't know how to splint my leg if I get in a car accident. I don't know how to purify water. I don't know any of it. So I wanted to teach a survival class. Unfortunately, I've got to restructure that. We'll figure it out. But it's program to program. So Monday is 9 to 1. Thursdays will be 9 to 1. Toddler time's only a 2-hour. In this September, we're going to open a physical fitness class where we do CrossFit and Ninja in the cow pasture. That'll be an evening class. I have a couple buddies that are looking to build a little farmhand class on, say, like a Monday evening where we could teach kids how to build with actual tools, build a picnic table, build a chicken box, how to work with your hands, hands-on. So when you ask about the programs, they're forever changing because we try to figure out what fits the community and we have to have the right instructors, you know?
Yeah.
I will do anything that our community wants and that we feel we need.
Yeah. So how many instructors do you have?
Well, me, my best friend, and my other best friend. I have a military family that's going to run the CrossFit Ninja course if we're able to launch that. I have another family with it's 2 families with the 2 men are going to run the little farmhand class on Monday evenings. Hopefully that works out. But we need instructors. That's what holds the programs back is I don't have the instructors yet. I don't have the resources. I hate to talk about it, but the reality is we don't have the funding for it. You know, I'm trying my best to pay them out of the actual class fees, but it's hard to get people to sign up on a I really don't know what you're going to make today basis,
Right.
Yeah.
but
So have you gotten grants or anything that you've attempted, or any sort of loans or anything that is available to you as an educator?
I don't know about all that stuff. I ran a moving company for 8 years and I was a construction company for 8 more years. So I don't know about that stuff. I just started reaching out to people for grants, but I thought I found somebody that was going to work out. But then again, I hate talking about it, but I don't have $1,600 a month to pay you to stay on board to find me a grant. So I feel like I just hit wall after wall after wall. And I get emotional because I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to quit on these kids. I'm not going to give up on these families. I may not be able to afford it today, but I will. We're going to do a fundraiser in June. We have a ton of support. I have to get better at asking for money. I have to get better at being able to find the resources, but I'm still a single mom of a 15-year-old boy who needs to get his driver's license. And I pray to God I'm going to live every day. I take him driving on the road, and who plays
I hear ya.
baseball, and I still have a farm to take care of, and I had to go back to work. So now I'm balancing this 20-acre farm, the farm school, and a full-time job right now.
Yeah.
I just to answer your question, I haven't gotten it, but I will. I don't know how. I'm hoping that doing podcasts and getting involved with people, because
Right.
I've never put myself out there. I'm scared. I don't feel like I'm good enough. You never feel like you're good enough. You're always your own
Well, you're
worst
doing
critic.
great. You're doing great. You shouldn't worry
Thank
about that.
you.
And what
Hopefully
you've
this
already
helps.
accomplished, what you've already accomplished is amazing. I mean,
It's huge.
Most people don't even take this first step, right? Like, they don't even try. They try to go get the money and all this stuff before, and then try to launch something. You did it the other way, which is infinitely more difficult. So, don't sell yourself short. You're doing something incredible there. And hopefully being on the podcast with us, Brad's got a pretty big following. He's got a lot of fans. Hopefully we can help you out there. But really incredible stuff. I mean, you're doing it all, and you have a family and a job. So I'm impressed. It's pretty incredible.
I actually made a post today, and I think that's become, I don't want to say it's become, I think it's been one of my passions always, is I've always been one that likes to cheer other people on and motivate and encourage, right? I'm a big, big caretaker. And the one thing that I hear it every day, at least from 2 or 3 people, is, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could have a farm. I would love to buy land. And so I made a post today, and I've never put myself out there, but I did. I put myself out in a partial bikini on a beach and said, this was me just 5 years ago. You all can do it. You have to take the risk. The reality is, did I have investment money to dump in this place? I spent my entire 401k. It's gone. It's in this facility. There's a source and there's a way. We just have to get over our fears. And I think opening a farm or even doing a homestead is so fearful to people because it's a lost lifestyle. But if I could do anything to use this type of exposure, it's not even to build the school or to gain the grants. I would use it to encourage people to just do it. You can do it. You can take the risk. You're going to struggle paycheck to paycheck without the farm. Why not struggle paycheck to paycheck with something that feeds your soul?
Yeah.
And brings life skills to your children that allows emotional development. I'm 40 years old and I am emotionally immature, and I can say that happily because I know it's true. I couldn't deal with death before now. Now I can deal with death, and I can do it in a healthy fashion.
No, that's amazing. And we need what you're doing. We need 5 of these in every county in the United States, because when you talk about the stories of, the kids that aren't even speaking, and then a few days with the animals and something they haven't done in years, that's amazing.
It's
That's
truly,
what's driving it.
it's what's driving me. I mean, I can, looking back as a mom, I guess I had it easy. You know, even though I was a single mom and I worked my time away, and, you know, my boys were social and they had friends and they had friendships and they had relationships. And do you know how many kids have never had a sleepover because they're socially awkward? Do
Yeah.
you know what giving them, and again, I get emotional because these are our humans. These are the people that are going to be raising us in 30 years. These are our future.
Yes.
But yet, so many of them, they don't have a comfortable and safe environment. And that's all we're offering. We're just offering a safe environment for them to grow and find the confidence and the strength to move forward at their own pace with no pressure of expectations, no forceability of you didn't do this good enough and therefore you can't move forward, or hey, you're still not ready, but you're going to do it anyways. Like,
Right.
that's what drives me. These are
Yeah.
our humans that are our future. And then to see the relief of the parents and to see the tears in their eyes when their child has their first sleepover or they sit on Santa's lap for the first time. I mean, as a parent, we all strive to see our children have those core memories. And there's so many parents that don't. And they don't have a safe place that, you know, offers a community that can support, and B, an environment where they can grow at their own pace.
Right.
And yes, that's why we need 5 of these in every county. And yes, that's why we need ag school back in schools.
Right.
And with due respect, but reformed, you know?
Yeah. We're getting away from it.
We're
Yeah.
getting away from it.
Yeah, everything you just said. I mean, there's so many. So my kids are in public school. My son's in middle school. My daughter's in high school, and there's so many kids. Like you just see it. You don't have to be there at the school, but just as they're walking out or walking in or any event, you just see it. There's so much. I don't know what it is. I really can't figure it out. A lot of these kids have infinitely more than we all did for sure,
Oh, yeah.
and but it still seems like they're locked in their bedrooms playing a video game, and I hate to lean on that all the time, but we kick our son out of the house, like get off the machine and get out. There's no one out there, and so he comes
So,
back 20 minutes later. He's like, well, what do you want me to do? Everyone else is inside playing a dang video
Right.
game. So I think we are losing that. So these kind of situations, or these kind of facilities that you've built and created a space for a community to grow, is going to be infinitely more valuable than all the other programs we have out there. Not that they're bad programs. It's just, we talk about it every week on the podcast. Adults and kids, nobody knows where our food comes from.
no.
And if they do, as they pass a farm or whatever, and that's where strawberries come from, or oranges or cows, they still don't have any idea the dedication, the absolute fight every day that someone like yourself or any farmer rancher goes through to keep it alive, to keep it
Correct.
going. It requires so much effort.
It truly does. And it's not, I don't think everybody understands how many farmers it takes to raise one cow.
Yeah.
I'm not making the feed my cow eats. I'm not cutting the hay my cow eats. It takes so many farmers to raise one cow. And it's a shame that not only do we not know where our food comes from, we're being poisoned to believe where our food should come from and what we should and should not be consuming. And the reality is, we wouldn't be here today. And this might be where I'm naive, but I'm sorry, but we wouldn't be here today if our ancestors 100 and 200 and 300 years ago didn't live off of our land and grow off of our animals and utilize what nature provided us. We didn't have processing factories. We didn't have, anything to clean our food. The reality is, we're mammals. We're supposed to be mammals, and we're supposed to live off our land and what is provided to us naturally. Stop chemically enhancing stuff. Stop putting dyes into it. We shouldn't have to worry about that. But on the flip side of that, we shouldn't be scolded, judged, and criticized because we raise our own food.
Right.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you had to learn to do it all. I mean, you're not just raising a cow or a chicken or a pig or raising a garden. You went into this knowing nothing, and now you have to know everything.
I still
or
don't
learn
have the garden. Yes. But, and here again, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the education. I can see, you said it best. Your kids go to public school and you can just see it. Whether
Mhm.
it's the pandemic of the video games, if it's the pandemic of the attitudes, the emotional or lack of emotional health that our children have today, there's a pandemic in our children. And I hate to say it, and I'm going to say it publicly, but it is our public school children. There is a big pandemic there that we have to get ahead of. And I think that's why working with homeschool children has empowered me and fed that fire so much, because we stay open for the summer because we want the public school kids to come and have the same opportunity. We do not learn from a book, period, point blank. I'm 40 years old. They said when I went to school, you're either auditorial, visual, hands-on, whatever it was. I didn't retain it from a book. I can Google all day long how to save a cow. But you know what I'm going to learn? When I'm in the heat of it doing it. And when that cow dies, I now know what I did wrong. Or when I save that cow, I now know what works. Why are we forcing our kids to learn within 4 white walls that are covered in mold and toxins and everything else that these buildings produce in the heat of our summer? Why not let them learn outside? Whether it's a farm program, a forest school, a Boy Scout school, our children learn and absorb so much more hands-on. I'll give you a good story. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear the story first.
When we started gardening, mind you, they're brown. As brown as they come, they're brown. Okay. But I try and we learn and we fail together. So when we started gardening last year, I would send the seedlings home with the kids. And it was their responsibility to grow them and it was their responsibility to water. And we all know about Wesley Chapel. We all know how big and developed it's getting out here. It's, one of our biggest cities now. HOA after HOA, no gardens allowed, no animals allowed. You can't have this, you can't have that. But when I was able to teach these kids that they could have seedlings and herbs on their windowsill, and I would get the photos of their seedlings growing, not just from them, but their neighbors too. Imagine how fast this lifestyle could spread like wildfire if we just allowed it to.
Mm-hmm. The kids want to do it.
They do.
Yeah.
And the parents want to do it, but the parents don't know how, and the parents don't have time to learn. But you can teach their kids. And when your kid and your household changes, your household revolves around that child. And we're going to adjust to appease our children like we always do. So if we can change our children, or we can influence, I don't like the word change. If we can influence and impact our children, how many adults do you think we can touch through them?
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. We talk about the energy of the household here all the time. It just takes one of us to be off, and when everybody's clicking, like it's just a whole different house, right? Like everybody is thriving, and I feel really good as a dad. Like, okay, great, everything's fine, and then 4 hours later, I'm like, okay, I got a kid who's driving, and all the stresses that come with kids on the road and whatnot. But I love everything you're saying. I love what you're doing. What is it that you need? Like, okay, I recognize there's probably a list of 1,000 things, but like if there was something that I always like to ask the question, if you had a magic wand, what is one thing that you would change about the facility, or one thing that you would do tomorrow if, cost or price or nothing was in the way?
I would hire the support to take us to the next levels. I wouldn't, we need, like you said, a laundry list of things. I need $15,000 worth of fencing right now. My cow is just out. That's why I was late, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need shelters for all of our animals. Not a single animal on this property has shelter. But if I did not have any walls in front of me, I would hire that one person that could help me get the grants, that could put me on podcasts like this, that could set me up with the exposure, the education, and that I would spend my money on that person. I really would in a heartbeat.
That's great.
Well,
We
I can't
can't
think
do
of a
this
better
alone.
cause of all the people we've had on the podcast than this one. Because you're
Thank
touching so
you.
many people so quickly.
Again, I get so emotional, and people that know me from my past 9 lives now don't ever see this side, but I feel shafted as an adult. I really wish, even if I wasn't raised in this lifestyle, I wish I had access to it. I wish I could open my doors for everybody to just spend an hour here. When you talk about the energy, how many times I've been told this place is magic, from cancer patients to people who have lost their family to children that just need the space. And it's not my facility, and it's not my animals, and it's not me. It's the energy of Mother Nature herself. We've just been given her a place to shine. And because I feel shafted for not having access to this, I am bound and determined to give everybody access. I would love nothing more than to share what we've done here with other inspiring homesteaders and encourage them to open their doors to the public. So that more humans of all ages have access, because it's not just about the kids. A lot of our kids are unhealthy because our parents are unhealthy.
Yes.
Well
It's a
said.
learned behavior.
It is, but if you can give the parents 20 minutes of peace by giving the kids 20 minutes of freedom, so much can come from that.
Well, it's something
So
else Brad
much.
and I talk about a lot on the podcast is even adults, their access to certain types of food depending on where they live. I mean, we've had some guests on from the middle of what was it, Chicago, downtown Chicago, where they live in apartments on the bottom floor. They don't get to see the sun most of winter, right? Because there's buildings everywhere, so they couldn't even do what your kids are doing, which is grow something in the windowsill, because they don't get enough sun for it. And so their only exposure to food is, the grocery store and fast food or frozen food. And so that, those kids become adults, and then they have kids, and it kind of just trickles down or expands that way. So many people don't have access to these type of programs, or any sort of farm on hand, hands-on type of farm work where they can get these extremely valuable knowledge that they're not going to get from anywhere else. I don't care how great the school is, right? So what sort of things are you governed by? So you said you're a homestead. Is there some rules you got to follow? Is there any curriculum that you got to follow, or are you able to make that up as you wish?
So without going into politics right now, we have the freedom. I think there's some things that they're trying to change, where they want background checks and they want credentials and everything else, which is unfortunately going to take a lot of these programs away from our kids. All of our nature programs will go away. All of our forest schools will go away. All of our farm schools will go away. So right now there's no real bounds on what we do here. Sad to say, and I probably shouldn't say it publicly, but I can't get insurance for the life of me. They don't like my exposure. So number one, that's a big hindrance. Insurance companies need to allow us to expose our children to these animals without saying, hey, hold up, you're too high risk. So I am going to force myself to wait X amount of months, and then I'm going to reapply for insurance, and I'm just not going to disclose everything we do here. To touch base on the food subject, that's the biggest hindrance. I have an answer to that solution, and I'm going to say it publicly in hopes that somebody jumps on it. Last year, I ran a farm to door delivery program. And when I tell you it was illegal as all heck. I went to every local farmer I could find, and I didn't care if they had a food license or not. I just cared if they were clean and they were legal in the sense of, yes, you're packaging correctly. Yes, you're writing your ingredients down. Yes, you have a cottage law. And I bought their stuff. I bought their beef. I bought their chicken. I bought their baked goods. I bought their sourdough. I bought everything I could buy. And I delivered it to the doors of the people who don't have access, because access is a huge problem. Even with all these farmers that are trying to be accessible, the state doesn't allow it. For me to sell my pig's meat through my farm, it's going to cost me over $350,000. I have to have a commercial kitchen. They want concrete around my well. They want to test the water, and they want their hands in the pot.
Yeah.
I want somebody, and I'm going to say it, and this is going to be a trademark, and I hope it happens off your podcast. I want somebody to open a FUBR, a farm Uber. I want somebody to open a FUBR where they can source their products from local farmers legally and rightfully, and we can get the proper clean food in front of our vets, our elderly, our disabled, our stay-at-home moms. In any of these inner cities, they have to travel over an hour to get to one farm store that only carries 2 or 3 of your products.
Yeah.
Access is the hindrance to all of it. Access is the hindrance to my farm. You know, it's too far for people to drive, or they can't afford the fees, or their job won't allow them to come. Access is the number one hindrance to all of it in my book.
Yep.
Uber. Somebody open a farm Uber. Get it going.
That's good. That's good.
Man.
We do something like that.
Yeah,
We do.
I love the idea. I'm with you though. There's going to be red tape up and down.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Food
from
safety,
here to
yeah.
Tallahassee on that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, and is it red tape, or is it, hey, we don't want you selling the meat because we don't have our hands in the pot?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of players who are going to try to keep you out of the marketplace.
Correct.
That's the bigger goal, and they all donate, and you know, without getting incredibly political here, but
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that's the way it works, right? It's really unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, but there's some ways in between it. So, for instance, with us, I am going to go to the legal locations, and they're going to be an hour away, and I'm going to bring everything here so that people within 30 minutes can come here legally. You know, there's some ways around it if we can educate people on how to navigate the red tape.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all legal if you know how to navigate, and it's all accessible if we don't have fear holding us back.
Yeah. But, you know, Brad and I have talked since the beginning of the Modern Farming podcast that we need to have some of our political leaders on the podcast. And this is one of those that needs to go on the chalkboard for one of the topics we need to bring up, because it is about access. It's about the infrastructure that gets the food to the people. I used to work for a very large, you know, GMO company, and the tagline was always like, we're helping feed the world. And really the trouble is not the amount of food that the world grows. We grow an infinite amount of food. We store food, we throw food, we dump food. We had people from a dairy on a couple of weeks ago. They were telling us during COVID, they were dumping milk. So the problem is not the amount of food grown. We don't necessarily need to increase the amount of food grown.
Nope.
We need to increase the access to the food. And that's not just locally, that's around the globe. And
That's
so
global.
I think it's a you know, just a misconception or misinformation by some key individuals or some key players that keep that going. But I really do think that we, you know, Brad, we need to get some of these people from Tallahassee on the call to asking these questions, because they may not know the struggle that the Sarahs of the world are going through.
Yeah.
Well, and here's one of my questions to them is, you know, the big misconception is you guys raise beef on your farm. You take your beef and you take it to a USDA provider so you can sell your beef. That's the big misconception. Do you know how many small farmers do that and then come find out they can't sell their beef? They're completely out. Their entire stock's been taken because they're selling it packaged. Right. Why can farmers not do that? If we are inspected by USDA and that is your line of thoroughness, inspection, whatever, yes, ask those questions. Yes, get those people on the line, because Florida needs it, but globally, we all need it. Like you said, it's not how much, it's the access. There's a girl, her name's by the name of Nicole. I think she would be a great addition to y'all's podcast. She's with Dubes Farm and Market. She runs, she's doing a great produce program out of, love you, goodbye, out of Wesley Chapel or Orlando Lakes. And she wants to spearhead a program she needs a location to put a distribution center that would stop the dumping of these items. Like you said, in COVID, they had nowhere to put their milk, so they dumped it. She wants to help resolve something like that.
Yeah.
How much pushback do you think she's getting on a program like this? Where your Plant City strawberries, okay, season's gone, whatever, we have a field full of strawberries, we got to pick them, but we have nowhere to produce them, to package them, to store them. Let's get some answers. Why can't we have programs like that? Why can't we have facilities that can be production and distribution centers and a farmer's market all in one, and give the access, the storage, and the support to the farmers that want it and need it, which trickles down to our community? Why can't we?
That's amazing. And the passion, you're trying to do a lot of things, and I think you're going to get them done.
That one's not my idea, but that's Nicole. And like I said, and she offered to do it here, and I was a yes person out of desperation. But the reality is I turned it down because we don't want a commercial building on our farm. We want our family to have, it goes back to the energy that we have here. We're very wholesome. I would invite you guys to come out here if you ever get a chance and just step on the farm. Feel the gentle of the animals. There's one cow that you got to watch out for, and she's a young one. There's always that one.
Yeah.
But I encourage everybody to visit, whether it's our farm or another farm. I think somebody said it best to me one time when it comes to energy and what's so healing about it. What's the one thing in our world that remains still? Trees.
What was it?
Trees. Trees are
Trees.
Yeah.
trees.
Yes.
Trees are still. So when we go out and we sit in that open pasture and we just sit still, it's so rewarding because it's the only movement. You're not running around fast-paced cars, moving buses, inside a mall. It's the stillness that land provides that allows us to breathe.
Well, I'm coming out.
Yeah, sold.
I got to see it.
Done.
Well, Sarah Jones, thank you so much for jumping on with us in the middle of crisis, which you handle very well as a farm manager and mother and teacher and educator and everything else. So we know this wasn't easy to jump on today, but in everything you're doing is just incredible. As Brad said, it's so inspiring, and you keep saying how emotional you are. I think it's passion, right? It's pure passion, and you could see it in your face for the last hour here. We can feel it. So we hope that someone on our end, that's listening, we do have listeners all over the globe, believe it or not. They do tune in to see Brad's pretty face every week. So hopefully we can get some help. And if you could share with us, how do people find you? Is it Facebook? Is it YouTube, website?
Oh, we need a marketing manager if anybody wants to do that. But
Okay.
Facebook is the number one. Facebook is number one. We do have a website at floridafarmschool.org. You can view all of our programs and services on there. Facebook is Florida Farm School and Animal Rescue. I do all my posting and my contacts through Facebook. You can reach us on Instagram at 224 Moose, which is today, tomorrow, and forever Moose. So 224 Moose. I'm just really, really not good at Instagram. I thought I was tech savvy until I got in this business. I'm gonna be honest. And when this whole social media life had to come into play, I thought I was real tech savvy because I ran all these businesses by myself, but not so much.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no. You get behind quick in social media. So okay, well, that helps. You do have Facebook and whatnot, and if you could maybe share that with Matt or myself on an email
Okay.
that you sent over here earlier. We'd love to share that too. And thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode of the Modern Farming Podcast. We are extremely happy and blessed to have Sarah Jones on from the Florida Farm School. Check them out on Facebook. Check them out on Instagram. Just don't leave her a message on Instagram. Hope everybody's well, and we look forward to seeing you again here next week.